We all long to escape reality every now and then, right? Maybe you want to right now. Sell the business and swing from a hammock on some tropical island, sucking back a rum punch. Then reality hits you right between the eyes. You're not going anywhere, champ, it says with a sneer. Well, today's guest looked reality in the face and said, "Out of my way." He and his wife then sold their business and took off around Australia for 16 months with their two beautiful children. The really interesting part? Their next business idea came directly from this daring escape.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, but you, so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you are ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. And that's pretty much what this show is all about. So thanks for tuning in. Big show today. Long-time listener Stephen Bale of Expedition Australia joins us to explain how he and his wife created a business by selling up everything and escaping the daily grind. Listener feedback from a surfer bum turned pig farmer turned podcaster. Love that career transition. And I seek some advice from SEO rockstar and past guest Rand Fishkin about an issue that's been bothering me for some time now. More on that later. Hey, today's show made possible thanks to Web Central, who do stunning web design. So check out their website, which is an absolute ripper. Beautifully simple, does what it needs to over at webcentral.com. And we're made possible by Cornerstone Business Solutions, an Aussie-owned, family-run offshoring business helping time-poor business owners get more done without spending a fortune. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in. Coming up, Stephen Bale, who explains how he turned a 46,000-kilometre road trip into a thriving business. But first, just time for a little check-in. Now, a couple of things. As this episode goes live, I'll be returning back from the Philippines with a few listeners on the second Small Business Big Marketing Freedom Through Outsourcing tour. Now, because I recorded this episode before leaving, I have nothing to report just yet. So give me a couple of weeks to collect my thoughts and I'll share some outsourcing learnings and a few interviews, hopefully, that I did along the way in an upcoming episode. Now, I mentioned a few episodes ago that I am honoured to be emceeing around Australia in July the Telstra Business Awards. It hits 8 cities. If you happen to be attending any of them, maybe you're in the running for an award, I don't know. I'd love to hear from you. So tweet me at Timbo Reid, R-E-I-D, and let me know which city you're going to be in. I'd love to say hello. And I read an intriguing article on crowdfunding in the weekend paper just gone. 3 different stories about 3 different people who used crowdfunding to do amazing things. One couple financed their around-the-world sailing trip. Another one raised $10,000, a stay-at-home mum, to start a printing business. And the third, a lot of people got their wedding paid for. If you've had any success with crowdfunding, I'd love to hear about it because I want to put an episode together that kind of shares some examples of successful crowdfunding. So hit me up on Twitter at Timbo Reid. Righto, enough of a check-in. I hope your business is thriving. Support for this show comes from Web Central, who are pretty damn good at driving traffic and leads your way. Verity Ma, their marketing head honcho, recently drew an interesting analogy for what a website without traffic is like.
Your website is a billboard in the desert if you don't have any traffic coming to it. So similar to having an advertisement out in the Sahara Desert, if you don't have any traffic driving past it, then people aren't going to know anything about your business. It's a bit of a waste of time. So yes, it's important, and a first step is to get that billboard, which is your website. But past that, you need to actually get found, and then from getting found, get leads into your business. So you need to get traffic or cars driving past your website to actually know what you do, what your business offers, and how you're different to your competitors. Because your competitors are out there getting traffic to their website.
Do camels count as traffic? Web Central, helping your website get found fast. Visit webcentral.com.au for exclusive listener offers. All right, coming up after this interview, Moz's Rand Fishkin and I geek you out with a pro SEO tip to get you ranking well. But first, let me share a conversation today's guest, Stephen Bale of Expedition Australia, had with his wife, Jen. Steve says, "Hey, Dale, why don't we sell our business, sell the house, put all our stuff in storage and take off around Australia for a year or two?" Jen says,
Look, you can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, they did. He was serious, and they captured the entire 16 months on video. Johnny Mac didn't go with them. It was just the two of them and their beautiful children. And they turned it into a 3 DVD set called The Big Lap. Isn't that a great name? They've now sold 22,000 copies and counting directly off their website and spent over $150,000 very successful on Facebook advertising along the way, and he explains how he's used that medium so effectively. I started off by asking Steve, with a car full of 3 females, his wife and 2 daughters, what tunes were on high rotation in the CD player?
You know, it was more about their stuff than mine. You know, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we're more of a movie watching sort of a family than a listening to music kind of family. So they would watch DVDs just sort of endlessly, and because they were coming through the stereo of the car, I could hear them, but I couldn't see them. So and they fell in love with the sound of music during that trip. And so by the end of the trip I worked at, I'd heard the sound of music probably about a dozen times. I'd never seen it, never seen a frame. So
Steve, it troubles me that you are taking your wonderful family around this lucky country and they're watching videos as opposed to going, "Oh, Dad, hey, there's Ayers Rock on the left.
Yeah.
That's the Olgas."
It's a controversial point, actually, because people go, "Oh, you don't go to around Australia, you don't go road tripping to watch movies, you go to look out the window and see the sights and do things." But the reality is you're spending hundreds and hundreds of hours on the road, and the scenery doesn't change that much.
Right.
And when you're 4 years old and 1 year old,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So one of the tricks to keeping the kids entertained is actually entertaining them, not just sitting there expecting them to just look out the window and everything's going to be great.
Mate, when you did get an opportunity to play a tune, Highway to Hell, Akadaka, or what do we have?
Actually, it's funny because we met a musician by the name of Jeff Bruce McGinn. We met him up in the Kimberley, and he's a travelling muso. You know, goes around to different places playing his
So you
guitar.
bought one of his CDs.
Well,
right?
we did actually. We bought his 2 CDs at the time, and we really loved, because we were staying there for a while, and we really loved him. He was just he became the soundtrack to our trip, and so from that point onwards, we listened to his CDs on rotation. And in fact, we talked to him about the time that we're making this film series about this trip. How about we use some of your music? And he was like, no worries, whatever. So we did a bit of a deal where that we would actually package up his music into a CD, and he became the soundtrack of our trip.
Yeah, I've got to say, the amount of times, and I hitched around Australia when I finished uni and bought a few CDs from buskers, and I continue to do that when we go on family holiday.
Yeah.
Never play them again.
Yeah,
I never, ever play. I go at the time, I'm going, man, that sounded so good when he was playing it at the market.
Yeah.
Didn't cut it once I got home.
It didn't follow through.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Steve, quote unquote, mate, here we go.
Okay.
You say we're in the business of inspiring people to get out and do road trips around Australia.
Yeah.
Why is that so important to you?
I think it's important that people follow their passion. You know, I don't think people put enough weight in that. You know, they talk about it. They I'd love to do this one day. It's like a dream. And what you find is that, you know, there's 100,000 people right now on their way around Australia at some point doing the trip, doing the big lap. About half of them are grey nomads, and the other half are everybody else, couples, families, backpackers. And so many people, in the lead up to our trip, so many people said, we'd love to do that, but, you know, house, kids, you know, job. And so they don't do it. And so I started to realise that, you know, we were really going to do this. So I started to realise that, you know, we have an opportunity here to actually try and inspire people to really do it. If they have the dream, to actually take the plunge and do it, and not just wait till they've retired, which is the typical thing that people do. Now, I'm not suggesting people don't do it when they're retired. Do it again when you're retired. But do it while you're younger. Climb the mountains, have the adventures.
I'm sure, I've said it a number of times to myself and to my beautiful wife Sophie, and gone, oh well, it sounds a bit hard. Back to the grind. What was your grind before you kind of took off?
My wife Jen and I were self-employed. We had a printing business, which is in fact only 500 metres from here on City Road, and we did that for about 12 years. That was a grind. It was rewarding having our own business, but it was hard. And printing is a.
Well, you still got your own business.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been self-employed since 22 years old.
We're both unemployable.
Yeah, exactly. I am pretty much unemployable. I'd hate to have. It'd be a nightmare. Trying to find a job.
Absolute nightmare.
I wouldn't even like to think
There's a
about
documentary of that.
Yeah, exactly. Except I'm not going to be the star of it, that's for sure. So, so we had that business for a long time, and it certainly had its benefits. It was good. We went to trade shows around the world, and we loved that business in many ways, but it was tough. Big leases, big staff, constantly needing to keep the wheels turning to keep paying the bills, and. After years of it, you just need a change.
So I always get fascinated by the fact that people do go off and follow their passion, live their dream. Did you have a whole lot of dough in the bank that allowed you to do that, or did you not?
No. We
didn't sell the business for a fortune?
Not for a fortune. No, we sold the business, and we got some money for it, and it was okay, but it wasn't a fortune.
Because that money potentially should bankroll you for your next business, which actually it did, but instead you have taken off on a holiday, the big lap.
Yep. And
was that a big decision or not?
Well, it's funny because it was a decision that took a long time to come to fruition. We, Jen and I managed to get 10 weeks off. This is before we had kids. We managed to get 10 weeks off from the business, and we just really despereally needed a big break. So
How do you get 10 weeks
well,
off?
We had a manager who'd been with us for about 12 months, and we said, all right, we're going to hand you our baby. You're going to look after it for a while. We're going to go on a road trip up to Cape York, from Melbourne to Cape York and back. And
which is not up the road overseas, listeners.
Yeah.
It's a long way.
From the bottom to the top of Australia.
Yeah.
And that it was such a fantastic trip for us that we started talking about, one day let's just do the whole country. And then we'll do that one day. And then as we kept going, we thought, we've got to go back to work and and get back into the grind, and that idea just started to snowball.
Yep.
And we by the end of the trip, we'd pretty much decided, we're going to do that, because we can't keep doing this business forever. We're going to do something else at some point. Let's make that the next thing we do before we do something else.
Oh.
And we'll take a couple of years.
So you take off. You make the decision.
Yep.
You go around on this big lap. Did you intend it to be a business? Because right now, the big lap is, and thank you for this wonderful DVD, 3 DVDs, 10 episodes, which looks like to me like a wonderful feature film, the way you've packaged it up. Was that always the intention, to turn the big lap around Australia into a business?
Yeah, it basically was, because I was looking to, thinking beyond the trip, I was looking to start a business that I could really be passionate about.
Yeah, right.
Something I would just love to do. And for me to do that, I had to follow what I love. And I road tripping is what I love most. Nothing I'd rather do than just load up the four-wheel drive and just hit the road.
Yep.
And whatever that looks like, I don't really care. Whether we're tenting or whatever, I'm not worried.
You haven't got the hands of a bloke that kind of would do that, I don't reckon.
Well, you're too manicured, do you think?
Well, so anyway, and that's your passion. That is
It is my passion. It's what I've always loved.
What's your strongest memory? It's 10 years ago now. Your daughters, I'm guessing, are, I'm going to say 11 and 4 or 14 or something.
Yeah, close, yeah.
And what do you look back? Is there a moment where it really pulls on the heartstrings?
We spent 6 weeks at Lake Argyle about halfway through the trip, or sort of in the second half of the trip, and we just completely fell in love with it. It's up in the eastern side of the Kimberley in Western Australia. We went there originally for about 5 days, and then we just loved it so much, we actually restructured the trip so we could come back and spend another 6 weeks there. And what we did is, because we actually rolled our car at the start of the trip, so we were
at the start.
Yeah,
I saw that on the trailer.
About a couple of months into the trip, we turned the whole lot over in the snowy mountains, and that was almost ended the trip. That was kind of almost a deal breaker.
Almost ended a life, or not so dramatic?
Look, no one got injured, but it could have, if we'd have gone sort of to the right instead of to the left, we would have ended up going down a long way down the side of the hill. So that could have been pretty bad. But
Yeah, right.
fortunately, no one got injured. The car was pretty banged up, and so was the trailer.
Rolled the car at the start of the trip. Wow, how stressful is that? At that point, you'd kind of be thinking the printing business was a much better option. So I think we'll take a little pause right there and hear from a business that are ninjas at removing business owner stress. Support for this show comes from Cornerstone Business Solutions, an Aussie-owned, family-run outsourcing business based in the Philippines, who can reduce your running costs by up to 90%. I asked founder David Warren to share one killer tip that would ensure any business owner's journey into the world of outsourcing was a successful one.
The secret is building a small team. And you don't have to have a big team. 2-people team to get started. And then once you've got a small team on the ground in a structured environment, so that small team helps in regards to HR, payroll, IT. Once you've got that small team on the ground and you learn how to make that team productive, then you've got an ability to scale wherever you want to go.
Cornerstone Business Solutions, where teams mean business. You can book a chat with David today at cornerstonebusinesssolutions.com.au/consultation.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Righto, back to Steve, and let's see how rolling the car ended up.
We ended up spending a couple of months getting all that fixed. It was a fair bit out of pocket. We had insurance, but insurance didn't cover everything. And so we had to just take a big chunk out of our savings that we had for the trip and to get it back on track. So by the time we got sort of up to the Kimberley, we were starting to run out of money. We were starting to look, do the budget and say we're not going to make it to the finish line with what we've got. We need to stop and earn some money somehow. And so that's what we did. We stopped there for 6 weeks, and we had a pancake breakfast, a tailgate pancake breakfast for the people in the caravan park there, with the blessing of the owner. He wasn't doing anything himself. So
This is a way of raising money.
Yeah, to make some money. So we literally had an all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast.
Love
we had
it.
3 little butane stoves going on the tailgate, and it was just such a great experience because we made some money, but we were interacting with everybody and
Hard to get the pancake recipe right. Did you nail it? Because
we did.
continue
We
to
absolutely
struggle.
nailed
What
it.
is it the bicarbonate of soda?
You need bicarb. You need a bit of vinegar in there.
What?
Yeah.
Vinegar?
Oh yeah, it's and you know what? We use powdered milk instead of real milk, and it actually made a real difference.
Here we go.
Believe it or not.
Eh?
Yeah, the
That's
recipe's on our website.
Interview over. I have struggled with pancakes for a long time. So you set out to do this big lab. At what point? When did you decide to film it? From the start? Because obviously you've got footage of you leaving your home.
Yeah. We were filming it before we left,
Right.
So it wasn't a last minute.
And was that the idea of just like family memories, or was that?
No, it was a deliberate.
It was always going to be.
plan,
So
yeah.
you have gone and you've gone off with a whole lot of equipment. You've
Yep.
kind of let's talk because this is content. This is like content marketing on steroids,
Pretty
right?
much, yeah.
Okay. So do you have experience in filming?
No, I do now. I had a little bit of experience.
Right.
So I've being in the printing industry, and we were into marketing and various sort of related things.
Yep.
So I had done some filming, but it's not been my background generally.
Big learning here, listeners. Big learning because there's a whole lot of small businesses out there, Steve, who listen to this show, and I tell them to go and create helpful content, which is what I talk about in my book, The Boomerang Effect. I say video, podcasting, blogging, self-publishing, forums, whatever it is you want to do, but start sharing your knowledge.
Yep.
You've done that
Yep.
on a rather large scale.
Maybe a little more than I bargained for, to be honest.
How many hours of footage?
200,
200 hours, okay, over the course of 46,000 kilometres. How many months?
16 months.
16 months, righto. And what do you do? Do you just set the camera up when you feel like there's a moment, or?
Oh, you know what? The camera lived in the between the front seats in a camera bag permanently there, so it was always available. And there's many times that we'd pull up and jump out with the camera and start filming, and and you will see that sometimes the camera comes on as I'm running down the road.
Yeah, right, the old wobble.
Yeah, and making a film was something when I was a teenager, I just dreamt about being in the film industry. That was kind of almost my passion. Then it was a combination of two things I'd always wanted to do: drive around the country and make documentaries. So so it was it was probably a couple of years before the trip.
Yep.
That I started thinking, maybe this is the opportunity to actually make that film I've always wanted to make. Because I grew up watching the Leyland Brothers and Albie Mangles and all this sort of stuff, and I was hugely inspired by those films. And I thought, well, it's my turn. I need to get out there and do something now.
Do you feel as though is it the film you wanted to make?
Yeah, it is.
on you.
That's why it took a while to finish, because I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. Once I decided to do it, and we'd sort of done. Actually, the easiest part of the entire process was the trip, getting to the start line and then finishing the film. A much bigger challenge.
One of the things I talk about in my book is this concept of an editorial mission, which is simply 3 questions: what do you got to offer, to who, and what outcome can they expect? And if you understand those, if you've got the answers to those 3 questions, then creating that piece of content, whether it be video or podcasting, whatever, is easy. Yeah. It was all very well to you to point a camera at what you're doing, what your family are doing on the road, but what was the idea behind the footage?
Well, the idea, I suppose the motivation was to capture the experience as authentically as we could. What's it actually like to sell up everything you've got, put what you've got left into storage, and then say goodbye to everybody and just take off for a year and a half? Yep. What's that experience actually like? Because when you talk to people about, why wouldn't you do this? They'll give you all the reasons, the horror stories, but because I'd have to sell a house or quit the job or whatever. So we wanted to kind of capture that experience as we did it, like a reality show, I suppose, but we're not concocting reality. It's actually, just capturing the experience. And we figured, a lot's going to happen one way or another, for better or worse. So let's just capture it as best as we possibly can. And so we did. And then when we got back, we had 200 hours of footage, and then just got to work progressively converting that into a 10-episode series.
Often filmmakers don't like being in front of the camera. You do?
Oh, look, I don't mind. It's just part of it. You can't make a documentary without doing it. So, but it's not. I don't sort of think, how can I get in front of the camera? I couldn't really care less whether it's me or not. It was more about making the production one way or another. And the nature of this type of film is you need to be in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. So we just, it was hard at first. We were a little bit nervous in front of the cambet and felt a bit silly standing on the side of the road saying, here's what we're doing and here's what's happened. And but after a while, you just do it.
I bet you look back at those parts and go, how good was that? That was the naivety of what we were doing.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I say to people, like I listened back to episode 1 of this show. It's cringeworthy. Yeah. That's okay. I wouldn't have got to episode 2 and on you go. So
you get better and better, and after sort of months into the trip, it just flows, and you've got your routine, and you'd actually see in the film that there's times when it's a bit hard. We had lots of gates to get through at some point. Just literally, I mean physical gates going through back station tracks, right. And every 10 minutes Jen's got to jump out and open a gate. And every time I'd film it just to see her reaction as she's opening the gate, because she gets more and more annoyed with it as we go along. And you just try and capture the
You never got out to open the gate, Steve.
I was driving,
not part of your not part of your dream.
So, someone's got to drive the car.
Who drove more? You?
Yeah, I drove. Almost the whole trip.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw some footage of Jen behind the wheels.
Yeah, she did a little bit. She did a little
quickly get the camera out.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. When she's driving, I'm filming because wanted to capture that. Because at the start we had to. She did some training on how to cross river crossings and things like that, which was early on in the trip. Yeah.
Steve, 10 years on,
yep.
You've sold 22,000 copies.
Yep.
99% from your website. Let's talk business. How have you done that?
I suppose the main gist of it has been through using content to attract customers, to attract visitors to our website. So we've got about 100 articles on the website, which is trying to answer all the questions that people have. How much does it cost?
Yes.
So we've got a downloadable spreadsheet calculator that you can work out your trip cost. Do I need a full drive? So I go through and write an article about, here's all the reasons why you would or you wouldn't want to have a full drive. Things like this. So basically, I've progressively over time tried to answer questions that people have, put an article out there, and then when they get on the website to read the article, they start to figure out who we are and what we're about, and they discover the film along the way. So that's kind of the organic approach, and then we also use Facebook advertising.
Okay, hold you, because you are nailing Facebook, and you're spending a pretty penny on it. So I'm guessing you're getting a few pretty pennies back. In terms of the organic stuff, so what you have done, and again, I talk about this. This is really basic stuff, but it works. You go and identify what you've not gone and identify. What questions have people got who are looking to do a road trip around Australia? Yep. Do I need a 4-wheel drive? So you go and write an article of some length and richness, answering that question.
Exactly.
When people key that article, what am I saying? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Search term. It's a Google thing.
It is, yeah.
Into Google, your stuff's going to pop up. They get to your website. Imagine your hang time on your website is high. Your bounce rate is low because there's lots more content there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 10, 15 minutes later, someone's going, buy one of those DVDs, I think.
Yeah,
Is that kind of how it works?
That's basically how it works. Yeah, it's not really much more complicated than that. So really, the challenge is to really find, zero in on the questions that people have, and engage them. And I genuinely want to help people make the decision to go and do this trip. So I feel like all this content really is about convincing them that they can do that, and the film is just like the icing on the cake. That so many people that do actually watch the film, will write to us and say, we're inspired. We bought a caravan. We're going to do it now, and it's like mission accomplished.
Tell me about genuinely, because I genuinely want to help small business owners with their marketing, and I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
What does that genuinely for you feel like? Because I think as a small business owners, we need to adopt that genuineness.
Yeah. Business is not just about numbers. It's not just about achieving goals and targets and things like that. You've got to love what you do, and I love hanging out with people who are excited about doing this sort of stuff. So, so I love nothing more than responding to people's emails and answering their questions.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes a bit of a struggle because I can't keep up sometimes. And
Great problem to have, like paying tax.
It is, yeah. And I try to be open and available as much as possible. And we're working on things to actually improve that going forward. But
what improve what? Your availability
to make it more of a community.
You're getting a bit of a prima donna kind of thing happening, eh? Hey? Yeah, no, I'm not going. I can't respond to them all.
Yeah,
I'll do an hour.
They come from every direction. You've got coming from Facebook, you've got coming from email, and it's which is fantastic. And I love responding to people and helping people. It's perfect. But what we ultimately want to do is build a community where everyone can help each other.
Right.
So the time before anybody goes and does a big road trip like this, they are full of questions. It's like they want to know, how's this going to look, what are we going to do here, where we're going to go, how much will this cost? And so rather than sort of having a conversation between us and everyone individually, we want to sort of convert it into more of a community where everyone can talk amongst themselves and us.
Why on earth wouldn't you do that yesterday? Because I've got the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. It is a place where those motivated enough can come to share their wins, to ask marketing questions, to get my input.
Yeah.
For you, for Expedition Australia, that is just a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer, and it really is.
How dare you not have a forum?
Well, that's right. Well, what we're actually doing is we'll set up a Facebook group.
Come on, really?
Yeah.
Okay, can I challenge you on that?
So much of our audience is on Facebook because that's where we've reached out to. We have.
You can quickly divert them. I'll tell you why I challenge you on that. Because you don't own Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook could, worst case scenario, Facebook closes down tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
No.
But they'll change the rules because Facebook always change the rules. It's what they do. They make you pay for stuff and they only, So I get it's the easiest thing to do and, do that right now. But why wouldn't you take them into your website onto a forum?
My resistance to that, 3 years ago...
Not part of your dream.
No, it's more that I don't think people will be as engaged. That's really the gist of it.
So I don't understand that.
Well,
Why?
I don't think... people are on Facebook all the time and they're already there. And so you're just sort of... You're coalescing people in an area where they're already hanging out.
So here's the problem.
Come out of there and go to this other website over here. I don't think it'll...
I
could be wrong.
Well, the fact that people are on Facebook and you're trying to hold their attention, mate, within 30 seconds, they're watching cats fall off ladders because that's what Facebook's about. Yeah. Facebook are doing their darndest to get you to scoot from page to person to friend to this and that. And anyway, interesting.
All right.
But going back to community, I mean, it's a no-brainer for you because how many people? I mean, I can see that being just a massive community. I want to talk about what's next, and we've touched on it, but in terms of those 22,000 sales of this wonderful DVD, Facebook has played a big role. You have spent, is it 150 grand in the last couple of years?
Yeah, it'd be about that. Yep.
Nice work.
Well, it's not.
So you're getting multiples back.
Well, that's the idea. Your return on investment, and we try to basically spend a predictable amount per sale. So it's about having a sustainable money goes in, money comes out kind of situation. And look, the reality is, before we started advertising on Facebook, we had different ideas. We were going to set up a network of distributors where you go and buy it off the shelf and do a lot more advertising in magazines and things like that. But then over the last couple of years, Facebook advertising has really just gathered the momentum and really just hit the sweet spot. And we started doing it, and it worked. And so we've just pretty much doubled down and just focused on that.
What's the secret? Good headline, good image, good copy, good landing page. What are we talking? Good target audience?
Target audience is a big factor.
How do you nail your target audience?
Because I'll tell you how we do it. We'll sponsor some articles. So I've got maybe half a dozen articles, which are the real hot buttons that people have. You know, how much does it cost to drive around Australia is a classic one. It's the top of mind for everybody. And which way to travel around Australia? Seems like an obvious question, but it's actually, it depends on where you start, what the time of the year, you know, the seasons. There's many factors. So it's like, here are all the factors that you need to consider, because it's not an obvious question. And so we've got sort of half a dozen of these really, you know, hot button questions.
So that's the headline in the Facebook
that's the headline. So what we do is they're not selling anything. They're saying, come and read this article and find more about this. And then so they do. And so when you have an article that you sponsor or you promote on Facebook that people respond to, the cost per click is quite low.
Yes.
And so you get relatively cheap traffic to your website. When they get there, then you can then show further ads to them. So it's like, okay, you've got to my website, you've read this article about how much does it cost to drive around Australia. So we now have a pretty fair idea that this is something you're thinking about, because you're not going to go and look at that if you've got no interest.
This is interesting. So what you have done, explain there, Steve, is that you run a Facebook ad. Many would run Facebook ads advertising a product or a service. You are running a Facebook ad advertising essentially a blog post or a page on your website that answers a question.
But then we will show them the ad for the product.
Well, your challenge is getting them to the website. Facebook, the whole role of Facebook ads for you is getting them to the website, not to sell.
That's right.
Once they get to the website, the pressure is on your website, your user interface, to then take them on a journey to buying, correct?
Well, yeah, basically to qualify them. You know, we only want someone to buy the film if they're, genuinely interested, because otherwise it's, you're trying to sell something to somebody who's got no interest. There's no point. So we're trying to warm them up and clearly understand that they are a potential customer. And so once they've visited our website, most of the time people don't buy something while they're there, but we now know something about them. So then what we do is, because we know that we can now show ads to them.
Stalking.
Yeah, we can now start showing them ads for the big lab. And
now, do you understand? Do you mean remarketing? So when they're going off to other websites, they're seeing Big Lab ads?
No. Well, when they're on, we're not doing any remarketing outside of Facebook. So when they're next on Facebook, they'll see an ad for the Big Lab. And that's what works the best. If we do sometimes build an audience of suspects, we think, these people kind of fit a profile. There might be a they call it a lookalike audience on Facebook. So you say, okay, here's a list of everybody who's bought the Big Lab. Now make me a bigger list of people like them, and we'll show the ads to them directly, and that works as well. It's a combination of doing both.
You've got 22,000 email addresses, haven't you, of people who want to do the Big Lab?
Yeah, we've actually got a lot more than that, because we have a newsletter which we send out several times a month.
Nice.
And which is, here's all the latest content on our blog, and and that's growing. So we've actually got a lot more than email addresses than what we've got customers.
Nice, mate. Community, come on.
Yeah.
Chop.
Exactly.
What are you selling besides the DVD? I'm looking at your homepage now. You got a nice little torch. I love a good torch.
Yeah,
do you love a torch that has a good beam?
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got the AF7 there. I don't know what it does, but it looks pretty fancy. It looks like one of those ones off the X-Files, which is that's always been my criteria for a good torch.
Yeah, a nice sharp edge on the image.
Yeah, you have to be in a smoky room for that to actually work.
Yeah.
But so you're selling product?
We've started selling product, because at the end of the day, we want to continue to develop more content. My burning goal is to create a huge amount of content, and I can't create it all myself. I need to enlist other people one way or another to get involved.
What kind of content?
I suppose, look at it like, I want to get to a point as quickly as I can where someone can go to our website and search for Uluru, and they'll get a whole lot of content about Uluru, where to stay, from not just data, not just prices and things like that, but people's experiences, photos, and we went there and had this experience, or this is what it looked like when we went there and it was raining.
right.
So it becomes a sort of a rich content library of everything about that from travellers' point of view.
I was looking at an author that I'm reading a lot at the moment is Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he's got a lot of video content out there, and he's also got lots of little, he's got 2-hour videos of presentations. He's also got 2-minute little grabs of these presentations and lots of them. Have you done that?
Like as in snippets from the film.
How many hours of DVD is this?
We've got 8 hours.
8 hours.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you, for example, I imagine a YouTube channel for Expedition Australia where it is like lots of playlists, Ayers Rock, Mount Kosciuszko, Cairns, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you literally have 1 to 2 minute video grabs with a call to action at the end saying, head over here and you can find more.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's not something we've done to that extent. We do have maybe half a dozen snippets.
There's so much you can do, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
I can feel it in you. You're just like, oh my God.
I want it all now and I want it all.
Well, you've had 10 years, mate. I reckon you've been, actually, a sequel would be a good idea. Could you do that? It's probably part of your plan, isn't it?
It's funny because people ask us that every single day. When we're going to see the next one? Because it seems like a logical thing to do.
Do you go, oh my God, the thought of that kind of scares me?
Yeah, it does, but the desire is there. There's no doubt about it, and we talk about it, we joke about it. If we've had a bad day, it's like, bugger it, let's pack up and go and do the sequel. And and it would be interesting to do it because the kids are older now, and we've got a third daughter now as well, and she's when am I going to get to be in a film and that sort of thing. So it's kind of there, but it's hard to pin it down.
What excites me about a business like yours, and I can feel it just talking to you, Steve, is there is so much you can do.
Yeah.
And you said in an email to me when you approached me that one of the things that holds you back is that you're not very good at employing others. What's that about?
Well, when we had our printing business, we had a lot of staff. We had 35 staff at one point.
Nightmare?
Go
on.
Look, I love it.
Hello to you, 35 staff.
Yeah, we had a great team, and there's no doubt about it. And you can't have a business like that without it. It's more that I literally am the one and only employee of the company right now. And
but why? Why? That's easily fixed.
Well, it's a good question, and I think I'm just reluctant to start handing off things, and I know I need to. It's like the road.
Could have got Jen to do a bit more driving. You could have got the girls to make a few more pancakes. You got to pass some stuff over, Steve.
Yeah, I do. That's right. I definitely do.
Is that hair loss due to the fact that you worry too much?
What hair loss is that to?
What hair? Fascinating. Like I'm kind of with you in the sense of employing people. I have this thing. I don't think I was actually a very good employee when I was in corporate. So I'm thinking if I start to employ people full time, the karma will get me.
Yeah.
And it does. It holds us back.
Yeah.
Are you going to break through that, or are you just going to?
I am. We're definitely breaking through. There's no question about that. It's just about timing. When you're a small business and you employ one person, that makes a huge difference to your bottom line. And so it's about taking careful steps. But
you should speak to Warnie over at Cornerstone.
Well, I have been speaking to him.
Have you?
Yeah, that's how I ended up here. He said, you should be speaking to Timbo.
You did too. I knew that. God, well, anyway, mate, you have got a lot to do. I don't know what you're doing standing around here talking to me because there is lots to do. Well done on the big lap.
Thank you.
And I think what I'd love, I hope you create lots more content, but that tribe that you want to build, I just think they're out there waiting for a leader like you to show them how to do it. And, what I love about that in particular is the fact there's a whole lot of people miserable doing what they're doing, would love to do a big lap and just need someone to give them a little bit of a push.
That's exactly it. It's about just saying, you know what, we're just regular Joes. We went out there and did it. If we can do it, you can do it. And that's a simple message that we're trying to get across. And, having some success with that.
Love your work, Steve. Thanks for sharing it, mate.
Thank you.
Well, there you go, team. Stephen Bale of expeditionaustralia.com.au. That's where you'll find him. That's where you can purchase a copy of The Big Lap. It's an absolute ripper. Coming up shortly, I've got an update on the mysterious world of search engine optimization. But first, let me share my top 3 attention grabbers from that wonderful chat with Steve. These are thanks to Web Central's simple and effective website solutions and Cornerstone Business Solutions, whose goal is to transform your business's profitability. Attention grabber number 1. Have the confidence to front some videos or audios for your business. We've spoken about this before. But what about Steve and his family? They fronted 200 plus hours of footage without any media training. I started this podcast without any interviewing experience. I still haven't got any. I'm working on it. But I talk about this a lot in my book. Plus, there's a chapter on video content ideas if you just want to get started. But again, take that mindset of being helpful, and that'll take the pressure off you worrying about what people are thinking of your haircut or, shape of your face or whatever you're worried about. Sound of your voice. I worry about the sound of my voice, but we move on. Attention grabber number 2. Use original content as a way to get people inside your business. In Steve's case, inside his website. Focusing on creating insanely helpful content, and the clicks and sales will come. Promise. Attention grabber number 3. Promote that content on Facebook, whether it be a boosted post or Facebook ads. I loved Steve's idea of promoting, blog posts as opposed to cutting to the chase and flogging product. He could have been running ads, buy this DVD, buy this torch. But no, he's being helpful, getting people to the website, and then at some point they'll go, I like this guy. I think I'll buy his DVD. Hey, what grabbed your attention? Would love to know. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/317 and let me know. Oh, geek alert, geek alert. Hey, I've got a marketing question today, and guess who it comes from? Me. Yeah, I know. I need something solved. You see, in each episode of this show, I cover a variety of marketing topics, if you haven't picked that up already. So I'm never sure how best to complete the metadata for the show notes, right? Therein lies the geek alert. Metadata for the show notes. Metadata is that information you complete on the back end of your web page or post that tells Google what that page is about. Now, every week I sweat over the focus keyword, the permalink, the page title, the meta description. It just does my head in. Put simply, what do I want the page to rank for? So that's my question, right? And I deferred to SEO rockstar Rand Fishkin of Moz, who's also a past guest of this show. If you haven't listened to that episode, I really encourage you to, because he simplifies search engine optimization for us all. Rand emailed me back. He says, hey, Timbo, there's not much metadata required these days. The page title, meta description, and any schema markup that applies, and that's pretty much it. Schema markup. I had to go and Google that one. It's the code that you put on your website to help search engines return more informative results for your users, right? So, guys, I know I'm geeking you out here, but get your web developer on board to help you out with this. Rand goes on to say, and this is the good bit, if your challenge is more choosing what to make the focus keyword of the episode and its show notes, my advice would be to think about the problem the episode or show notes solve for people. Great advice. And what folks might search for that would result in them being extremely happy to find that particular episode. Love that. Hey, just writing for the human, really. So for this episode, the focus keyword I'm going to use will be, at this point, it may change, but this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it'll be, should I sell my business, right? It's not really a keyword, it's a key phrase. I'll then use that key phrase, should I sell my business, in my show notes headline, once or twice in the actual copy, in my page title, and in the meta description. So if someone searches for that phrase and I pop up on page 1, then I reckon that person will be extremely happy they found this episode. End Geek Alert.
Nerds!
Nerds.
Love it, eh? What do they say? Geek is chic. Love it. Nerds, used to be so nerdy. Now it's the cool thing to be. Now, I have got some wonderful feedback, and there's some learnings in here and some inspiration for us all from long-time listener Austin Martin. Isn't that a great name? Not Aston Martin, Austin Martin. And he has the Homesteady podcast. Check out his bio. I checked on his website. He says, I'm a surfer bum turned pig farmer, an amateur bass whisperer, and I like to sit 15 feet up in the treetops and watch deer walk by. Together, my wife and I are raising 3 awesome kids on our homestead. How beautiful is that? So he says, hey, Timbo, I figured I'd give you an update on my podcast. The show has passed its 300,000 downloads and it's only a once-a-month show most of the time, although we did a weekly in February as a bit of a member drive, that's a great idea. That's a great strategy in itself. The show grossed over $5,000 for me last year through online memberships, classes and sponsorship. Well done, Austin. This year we're on track to pass my goal of $10,000 this year, projected to hit more than $16,000. Love your work, mate. Who said podcasting can't pay? And next year, full-time, buddy. I'm making podcasting my full-time career. Mate, that sends shivers up my spine because this is absolutely possible. If anyone's listening to this going, oh yeah, but he started and he's got 300 downloads and the boat's left the shore and all that. No, it hasn't. You can start anytime. You just got to create great content. Therein lies your creative challenge. Back to Austin. I didn't go to college. I'm an ex-surfer bum that started a side small farm business because I liked raising pigs. Then I started listening to your show, and I'm not kidding in saying listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show has literally changed my life. Wow. All I've learned about marketing and building a business online started with your show, and now I'm self-employed and soon to be a full-time podcaster. Oh, buddy. So, of course, I'm buying your book and one for a client who's starting a podcast. Thanks for all you've done, mate. Hey, Austin, thanks for all you've done, mate. Hearing that, you're why I do this show, and everyone else who's listening, all you motivated business owners, that's just wonderful news. So anyone listening, if you're thinking of starting a podcast or a video strategy or a blog or a website or a social media strategy, just start and you will be amazed at what comes of it. Well, I reckon that's a pretty nice way of finishing episode 317. Hey, what about that? 17. Plenty of marketing gold coming your way, though, in the weeks ahead. Next episode, join me. This will be interesting as I get to the bottom of how sponsoring a racing car makes good marketing and business sense. And it involves me flying around a racetrack in a Porsche at 240 kilometres an hour. There's even a video to prove it. Not pretty, but it exists. Hey, be sure to check out cornerstonebusinesssolutions.com.au if the idea of drastically reducing your running costs makes you go, hell yeah! And webcentral.com.au/Timbo, who can help you avoid that beautiful website of yours being a billboard in the desert. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Thanks for listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.